The dogs are important in this story, and probably the reason I'm safe. So, a quick introduction. I'm a woman, and my dogs are Maya, a loving border collie, Lulu, a very small white dog, and Vivek, a black Australian shepherd, the most alert of the three. Fake names, no worries. I recently moved with my dogs to a country I didn't speak the language yet. I work online, and living next to the beach near one of my sisters sounded like a nice idea. She warned me a lot about this city. The people are super nice, but the pickpockets are common, so be careful. Otherwise, the crime rate was low, so I didn't think I had much to worry about, as long as I stayed careful. For months, I never had any problem. I kept an eye on my belongings, stayed alert, and life went by. I lived 2 crosswalks away from an urban park, made with more cement than grass. But there were a few trees there and a spot of grass where my dogs could sniff and pee. Usually my last walk was around 10 p.m., but that night, after watching a movie, I went out at 1 a.m., much later than usual. I always liked walking at night, and since I'm an insomniac, I did that often in my own country. It was safe, calm. Nothing ever sketchy happened to me before. So here, the city was so peaceful. I loved the vibe. I let my dogs loose. They're very well trained and are almost always often off leash, and went to the park with Vivek and Lulu. Maya not wanting to go out. She does that sometimes. After a few minutes, they're coming back to me, and we head back home, dogs loosely flanking me. I walk to the first crossroad, and Vivek turns a few times towards a man who's walking in our direction. I acknowledge that, but again, nothing to worry about. It's a busy city, no cars. I cross the first road, and Vivek continues to check back on the man. He's a suspicious dog. I'm working on it, but I always trust my dogs. So I check back to see where's the man, and he had crossed the road too, in a diagonal, not with the crosswalk. So he's much closer now. I love crime podcasts, and always had the distinct feeling that in a situation like this one, I would face the problem, not to confront it. I'm not delusional, but because I believe it cuts a lot of the fun from the hunter, and I want to see things coming. So I plant my feet on the sidewalk, grab the collar of Vivek, who's rigid, and whisper him to bark. He starts barking like a trained dog does. Small, brief barks, but I pull on his collar, amping him up, still whispering for him to get going. Now he's really barking. My attitude is carefully crafted. I want him to look like an aggressive dog, me holding it for dear life. So either his intent, the man could be more wary of us. Now he's a few meters away, and Vivek is standing on his back legs, barking like crazy, and the man just stops in front of us. To me, it seems like a long time, but I think it lasts 10 to 15 seconds. I'm also just standing there, holding the dog, eyes to eye, with the man, expressionless. All I can think is, don't look afraid. Please, Vivek, keep your show on. I'm still thinking I'm wrong. It's just a passerby, but its stillness is unsettling. Finally, he moves and passes us. The sidewalk is very large, and I notice how he passes so closely to us that the dog could brush its coat with his front paws. I'm thinking, who risks being bitten by a dog? And just after that thought, I realize he may be testing the dog. I pivot to keep the man in sight, still holding Vivek. Slowly, the man leaves and turns left to the street. I stay there a few seconds, thinking how odd it was. I still wait a bit, mostly because I don't want to free Vivek in fear he might run after him, out of my sight. I'm waiting for him to calm down and praise him, but he's still mad, still barking, and there, the same man comes again from the corner of the street. The dog is lunging, and I'm standing here in the same place, thinking this time, it was definitely not a coincidence. He walks to us and stops right out of Vivek's reach. Still, not talking, just watching us. The silence is the most unsettling thing. He doesn't know I don't speak his language. I don't know how to tell him to go fuck off. So after a few seconds, I yell, "Just go!" hoping that if he doesn't know English, at least my reaction will send a message. Again, all I'm thinking is, don't look afraid. So I sound more pissed than scared. After a couple of seconds, he finally turns back and heads back to the corner of the street. Once again, I'm here holding the dog. Lulu is nearby, not caring at all about the situation, and waiting, hoping he won't come back, hoping Vivek would not calm himself too fast, thinking how to get back home. Watching for the same corner of the street, I suddenly see a bus appear and stop at the red light. It's my cue. I call the dogs and take off running, crossing the sidewalk in front of the bus. I can't help myself and check one last time behind me, and the man is still there in the corner of the street, but back turned and checking something. A phone, I think. I run straight to my place, close the door behind me, thinking how lucky I am to not have taken Maya with us, because that stupid loving face would have run straight to the man for cuddles, and the situation might have been completely different. I really think Vivek acting like a rabid animal really helped me. The fact I stood my ground too, maybe. My best friend asked me if I called the police. To be honest, I never thought about that. I still had trouble figuring out if it was the malice or not. During all the interaction, I thought he could be a man wanting to threaten me just for fun. And whatever he was, a pickpocket, a drunk man, someone trying a cruel prank or something worse, I figured I would have better odds if I just stood there holding the dog and watching him. Everyone think it was just a drunk man? I have trouble accepting this theory. The silence, the stillness, and how he passed really close to a dog looking like he might bite seems a bit too clean to me. I still live in the same neighborhood and never saw him again. I had plans to work on Vivek's behavior, but after this night, I kept him as he is. I'm posting this for no real reason, just to share a creepy, unfortunate experience from my past. This is my first time posting on Reddit, so I hope I've used the right style or topic, place, or whatever. A few years ago, a friend gave me, 39-year-old female, and my ex, 36 male, a USB to use for music in the car. After about 6 or 7 months, we got bored of the same songs. So my ex plugged it into the computer to add more music. He decided to wipe it completely, but when he did, he found a hidden folder. Inside were hundreds of photos. Photos of celebrities, news reporters, older women, and people labeled as mom's friends. But then we saw photos of me and other women from our friend group. Some of them had been edited. He had drawn over them, exaggerated body parts, and even turned some into crude animated images. Then we found another folder. This one was worse. It was filled with photos he had secretly taken, mostly of me, all without my knowledge. Some were normal at first glance. Photos of me sitting, talking, or on my phone. Some were of me bending over to pick something up. But others were invasive. Photos of me sleeping, taken up close, sometimes with flash. In some, he had lifted the blankets to take pictures under the covers. There was even one where he was touching my butt while I slept. Looking back, other things started to make sense. One night after going out, My purse went missing from my car and was never found. He had been with us and later borrowed my car. At the time, I didn't suspect him, but now I'm convinced he took it. Another time, I was in the shower while he was at the house. I heard noises outside the window, like someone moving through the bushes. I ignored it at the time, but now I believe he may have been trying to spy on me. He was socially awkward and didn't have many friends, so we were some of the only people he spent time with. Because of that, I trusted him. That trust was completely misplaced. When we found everything, we told some of our friends, including the woman whose photos were on the USB. He later sent a message apologizing. He said he had been lonely and hadn't been with anyone in years, but admitted that didn't excuse what he did. What made it worse was my ex didn't seem to take it very seriously. After we broke up, I found out he was still in contact with him. It hurt, but honestly, it didn't surprise me. To this day, I don't know if anything was found on his devices during an unrelated police incident. I never got any answers. The whole experience completely broke my trust in him. It made me question my judgment of people. I'm 20 and I'm from West Virginia, town of about 4,000. I have been no contact from my maternal grandmother for over a decade and will not speak to her again for any reason. She still stalks me and tries to contact me. She is not mentally well and passed that down to my mom. My dad has his own share of issues, so there was some turmoil in my childhood, but I was always safe at home. Debbie didn't seem to agree and ended up taking my parents to court to gain grandparents' rights, which aren't a thing in West Virginia. She didn't, and we were granted a protective order due to her harassment. I'll talk more about this later, as I found out about it this past year. My mom has dealt with Debbie's control her whole life, and a lot of intense abuse from her dad. Her dad has left boot marks on her ribs. He would have me call him Tom and pretend he was my husband. Debbie was a klepto and very bipolar and psychotic. I do not use these terms lightly. Her first move was at the Memorial Day parade that ran through town from the school down to the Memorial Cemetery. We were crossing the bridge on Main Street, my dad driving his truck in the parade in front of my group, and I heard her yelling for me from the sidewalk. She was pushing people out of the way and making her way towards me, and I was doing my best to act normal and ignore her. My dad noticed and put me in the truck after calling the cops, but I don't remember what happened after that. It was terrifying and embarrassing. Somehow she outdid herself the second time and showed up to my school. We had already given the school pictures of her full name and aliases, everything we could do to prevent her from getting access to me. They let her into the school because when they called up to the classroom, I refused to leave and started having a panic attack. I had the best teacher in the world. Shout out Miss Farley. And she put us into a lockdown right then and there and called my mom. At this point, I believe we were granted a full restraining order. My sister was born a few years later when I was 9. A flaming ginger in contrast to my dishwater brown parents and myself. Debbie told everyone in town she's belonging to the mailman that my mom was on cocaine before getting pregnant with her. The list goes on. My mom has an autoimmune condition that has caused her to go through radiation, steroids, essentially hell, and when she got pregnant with my sister, in the middle of treatments on birth control, she went into remission for years. As soon as she was born, we left the state and she had stalked us for years. She had made hundreds of Facebook accounts, tried to reach me through every person she could think of. She had hundreds of emails. When I visited my hometown for the first time since I was 9, I went to my old house and knocked on my neighbor's door. After some catching up, we were back to small town drama. And he told me how she used to shine a flashlight through our windows at night and would bounce a basketball on his porch in the middle of the night. He said she peed on his porch too. So did the grandmother I wish I'd never had. Let's not meet again. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoyed those stories, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. And if you want to share your own stories, link is in the description. I would love to read them. With that said, thanks so much for listening. I love you all. And as always, stay depressed.